Hi, everybody. It's Mark Rushton of MarkRushtonGallery.com and MarkRushton.com. It is Saturday afternoon, July 23rd, 2022, and I'm going live just because I want to make the video. And if people want to watch it later on, that's fine. Not a big deal. The hot one out there, so I'm working inside today. Who am I? I'm Mark Rushton. This video I'm going to be talking. It's called the One-Way Chat. The One-Way Chat: Merchandising, Music, and Fine Art. Just kind of want to talk about that to the camera here. I'm a fine artist and a recording artist, but first, whatever streaming service you're on, think about subscribing and liking the video if you like what I have to say. Leave a comment if you want. I always like hearing from people. Sign up for my mailing list at markrushtongallery.com. I'm going to have wonderful things exclusive to the mailing list subscribers in the future, a couple months down the road here. Things are really going to be ramping up. Links are in the description, so let's get into it here. And let me find myself first of all. So, as you know, for the very few number of regular followers of this channel here, I just want to show something real quick. Look how clean it is back there, right? I got the day jobs table right here, and then over here is the increasingly depleting part of my studio here. And yeah, I'm relocating studios in the next month or so to a different studio space. And so that's as much as I can say at this point in time. So the art is being packed up. The art is being packed up, and because there's and I'm going to show you the Mark Rushton Gallery here in a little bit and how much it has changed. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop merchandising my my paintings, the works that I do, the prints that are available, the tote bags, everything like that. I'm still going to continue on with that. But you know, when you're packing things up and you get to like fix things in your room that you've kind of, you know, you got to do a little paint touch up and stuff like that. That stuff takes time. That stuff takes time. So that's kind of what I'm focused on here in the near future. So I want to talk a little about merchandising, music, and art, and I'm going to show you my my released radar, and let's shrink me down a little bit more here. Who was it? It was Ted Gioia, Gioia. He is well, he has been a musician and kind of a writer about music and observation of you know, the music scene and stuff like that. I subscribe to his. I pay for his Substack. He's an interesting writer, a bit older than me. He's sporting that big boomer mustache, and I generally like what he. You know, he's a thoughtful writer. However, one of his most recent columns was he went on and on about he talked about 15 or 16 different ways to discover music, and nowhere in his list. And some of the things, you know, he talked about on positive light, other things he talked about in a negative light, and not necessarily negative light, but just things he doesn't use, right? People spamming him or whatever, industry news and things like that. Well, one thing that he did not mention in any of his selections there are these sorts of playlists that Spotify kicks out. Release Radar is the one that I get. A couple of them. I get Release Radar, and I get Discover Weekly. Discover Weekly comes out on Monday, and that's typically stuff that's a year or going back a certain period of time, number of years or decades even, based upon what you listen to on Spotify, who you follow, all that sort of stuff. But I always like to listen to Release Radar. I will track through Release Radar every single week because the ratio of good to bad it's generally in the favor of good. And now most weeks I'm sort of indifferent to a lot of things, but I do like to know what is coming out. And so, you know, love Daniel Diaz's music. Who's he? Take the deep dive if you want. You know, a few years ago, a friend of mine turned me on to West Side Gun and the whole Griselda group. This was a number of years ago, 5, 6 years ago. And, you know, that discovered Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher. Conway the Machine's great. And, you know, so I find out about all these things that come out. Like, you know, what else you got in here? Pat Metheny got his name here on something that he played on that got released. You know, the additional art. How would I know about these? Right? I'm kind of interested. The May 1965 demo of Heroin by Lou Reed. I might be interested in listening to that once at least. Who's that Rushton guy? Right? And then all these other artists in here that show up in here. Danger Mouse, Guided by Voices. You know, like he's got something new out every week under his name and many other names. So, and then what I do, largely based on Release Radar, I used to also include it on things like Sirius XM because I had it in one of my previous cars, and then the current car that I have doesn't take the satellite radio. Although I guess I probably could get it on my phone, and because now I have, you know, one of these unlimited plan things, so I guess I could resubscribe to Sirius. But I like just punching the buttons. I'm old, you know. I don't want to deal with menus. I hate menus, right? So again, I used to compile like sort of things that I like to hear from that too, but you know, I don't do so much of that anymore. And I would compile it into a yearly picks. And this one's 2022 picks by DJ Rushton. Nobody's following it because I'm a little too far out there for a lot of people. But again, if I had a radio show in 2022, I'd be playing these new tracks. DJ Rushton has been making public playlists on Spotify for years. Everything from lo-fi rock to synth pop to ambient to odd pop to art. I guess maybe I meant art pop, hard rock, sometimes mutant country and avant-garde. Surely some reggae, right? So if I come across something that's fairly new, I'll throw it in this list here. I'll throw it in this list and then kind of order it, you know, to a certain degree. So that's how I can kind of compile. What did I listen to? And then I've got, if you go into my pop and such here, then you come back down here and you've got stuff back to, you know, 2014, 2015. Sometimes this includes older tracks, but you know, just stuff that I listened to that year, and I can kind of go back to it. And it's like a portal in time. What was the music like in 2017? 2017 was a really good music year. You know, it's like that Church album was good. Slow Dive, that Slow Dive album that came out of nowhere, that was great. I discovered the Clientele that year, and just the last album by The Fall, and Barry Adamson, and more Guided by Voices and Ariel Pink, and you know, so stuff like that. A wide range of things. Instrumental. Sometimes I split off the instrumentals from the pop tracks. But yeah, I like they call it the algorithm, but you know, it's just a way of discovering new music. And Ted Gioia's list was all sorts of things. People telling him about certain music, people that he trusts, things that he sees in the media, all that sort of thing. And he listens to a lot of stuff. I don't think he repeat listens to a lot of things. Unlike me, I will listen to, if there's a track I like, you know, I'll play it 8 or 9 times a day. Just get into it. You know, that's kind of how I've always operated. But let me bring this up here real quick. It's a one-man operation, you know. So, you know, this is a way of merchandising music. You know, the algorithm. I know a lot of people. Unfortunately, and I'll say this and forever. There's so many people out there that they do not like the streaming services for whatever reason. I don't know whether it was because of the the negative articles the propaganda that was published, 2012, 2013, when the streaming services came out. It's like there were certain people out there that were just trying to cut off these services at the knees. And then it was just the endless torturous drip of negativity. And artists aren't being paid enough, and all that. When were artists ever paid enough, right? Oh, you signed all those bad contracts and gave up 85% of your royalties, and you lost your master rights, and you signed that contract. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. Anyway, it just surprised me that Ted Gioia didn't have anything in there about these sorts of things. And this is how people listen to music these days. People like playlists. People like being pushed playlists. Why do you think Spotify has all those curated playlists? Oh, well, a lot of them have fake artists and stuff. Who cares? If you like that sort of music, you like, no one's listening to the radio anymore. Not really. Every now and then I will turn the radio on in my car, and I'm just like, dear God, what year is this? Oh, the oldies are now the 1980s. Oh, crap. I'm near the end of my life. What can I say? So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show that as a starter course, As for me, as a recording artist, I try to one thing I've done over here over the last 18 years is merchandise my music, and I do it via the Ambient Rushton podcast. I make ambient and electronic music, avant-garde stuff, field recordings. What's the other stuff that they call it? Sound effects, that sort of thing. And so I've made 188 podcasts here in the last 18 years, and some have a whole bunch of tracks in them. Lately now, I just have one track in it. I'll feature one particular track. I'll play the track, and then I'll talk a little bit about the track. And it's mainly to promote my music on as being available for licensing. This is going to get kind of a long-term thing that I've just started dipping my toe into. So, I talk about it here on my website, markrushton.com. It's easy to license my music and sounds. I have things out on Pond 5. If people hear things via the streaming services and they're like, I'd like to license that for this, whatever reason, they've made a video or whatever, they want to support me in that particular way. I get this every now and then. I'll get emails from people and they'll say, hey, I want to use this track for whatever. Now I can do it. Now I can set this up. You can have a license. You're not going to get a big copyright strike or anything like that. I think a lot of people, particularly content creators out there, don't know that this is available to them, or they go and they use the free music thing or whatever that's offered. But this is another way of supporting artists and creators who do this sort of thing. But my attitude is just like, you need to be able to go, and if you're a music recording artist out there, you need to present this stuff. You need to be able to explain to people and play it in front of you, get it in front of ears, So that's one thing that I do. And of course, I'm going to be I'm dipping my toe into the world of synchronization licensing, which is like music for commercials and films and episodic television and stuff like that. And that's just going to take a long time to get together because it just is. I got a Disco account. I've not been very happy with Disco, not because nothing's happening. It's just, I think it's a very confusing interface. And I've let them know a few times. I'm just like, this is confusing. But and then they offer webinars and they offer extra services and then they offer discounts and then they pull the rug out from you on the discounts. I think that's if I sat through the webinar and you sold me on that particular service and then you later say, well, you used another discount for something else earlier in the year, you should be giving me the discount on the extra additional service. I don't like that sort of bait and switch stuff. That's what Disco has done to me. Or they have a webinar where they purportedly talk about some new service that they've created, that they've developed, and then they spend half the thing trying to promote some artist and their stuff. It's like, no. You got all these people in here at a particular time on a particular day. We all have a lot of us have day jobs. A lot of us have other things going on. I don't have half an hour, 45 minutes to listen to these people talk about how great they are. That's fine. I'm happy for their success and everything like that. But show me the new thing that you've made that you promoted, right? Because nobody would show up for the other thing, right? Kind of like here, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of talking about myself here. But yeah, this is coming up here. I got to figure out the sync thing. I've talked to some people about synchronization licensing, some people that do it, and one of them was kind of like, ambient. That's a hard road. Avant-garde. That's a hard road. You don't use stems. You don't necessarily use a DAW. You're not a composer like certain people are. It's like, well, but I'm different and I'm kind of unique, and it's different. It's different. Listen, I've gone out to these stock music libraries and I've heard what constitutes ambient, and it's the same old preset interesting things on the keyboard, and that's fine. But what I do is a little bit different. It's a little bit. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm not saying that I have to be, the world needs to fall at my feet, but I think somebody who reviews that sort of stuff for a micro licensing agency or sync licensing agency or a music supervisor, something, yeah, oh, this is different. This is a little bit different. What else have you got? I got hundreds. I got thousands of tracks. What would you like, right? But finding the right libraries, finding the right sync agencies, or finding the right music supervisor, that's something that's going to take years to learn. And what did I do recently? I offered somebody a pretty, I wouldn't say, it's a decent amount of money for an hour of their time just to talk things over, just to say, hey, before I get started with this, should I, it's a consultation or whatever. And the guy emailed back and said, I don't do consultations anymore. And I'm just like, okay. All right. That's fine. Maybe I'll find somebody else to consult with on that or whatever. Or, whatever. I'll take your course. I'll probably take your course because, I do good with the streaming. What can I say? Is it a crime to say that? Apparently to some musicians out there, it's a crime to say that you're actually doing something good, particularly with streaming. They just hold this. They just, again, like I said with Ted Gioia, and not talking about algorithmic based weekly playlists that update. There's a bias out there, huge bias out there with recording artists and musicians and people who write about music. They it's a bee in their bonnet. And I need to just kind of get away from that sort of thing. But maybe maybe I just need to dig this. I need to dig the hole myself. I'll dig the hole. Listen, I live out here in the woods. I've dug a few holes. You see dead animals, you got to dig the hole. I'll dig the hole. No, not a problem. Right? Back to the art gallery, markrushtongallery.com. I've taken out the weekly sale. I've taken out the original artworks. I've also removed new and bestsellers and stuff like that. So we are down to just prints. We're down to the tote bag store, and I do have some CDs over there that I'm going to hold out on. Why not? It's a store. Let's sell it, right? But the thing is, I've done 2 live art sales a week here for the last 17 weeks. Did one last night. And, the thing is, I kind of feel like it's important for me, at least for practice, to go through, show off the gallery, show off the different types of artwork in here, talk about them, talk about the sorts of things that they're, the metal and the canvas that they are available to be printed on. I always have to show the tote bags, which we'll get to here in a second here. But, some of the most recent things that I've made out there, these little photo collages that are available, they're kind of fun. I like to use Red Lily as an example here because it's such a great photo. Here's like a metal, let's do like a smooth fine art paper. I'm going to make one of these for my house real soon. I'll make a big one like 50 by 40 because that's actually a pretty decent price. Huge. It cost a little bit extra for the gator board and the framing, but when you get something that looks like this, how's everything looking here? Let's say your walls are a little, yeah, look at that. That's a you go into somebody's house, that's a conversation piece. Or in the new studio, I have something like this hanging on the wall, and I'm standing up like this. I've got a portable camera in front of me, or something with the little doohickey that causes it to not shake. That sort of thing. That's coming. But yeah, the live preview there, super neat, super neat. So I have to show that off. I have to merchandise the website. I have to merchandise my different artworks. I have to talk about things like the tote bag store, which is there's going to be so many here in the future. I just love them. Be ordering some more here. But since I'm moving studios, I mean, I can't just have like a box sitting here, and then if something sells, I got to rummage through the box. It's unfair. And I got so many other things to do that it's best just to take that offline, and then I can bring it back. I'll bring it back probably in September, and then I'll be making new artworks, and we'll be making different types of videos out there. I probably do the thing where, you see me making the painting, making the collage, making the artwork, speed it up. That's out there for things like Instagram. I am available out there at hold on here. Where did the Instagram go? Instagram at Mark Rushton. We're at 193 followers. I've been making the reels. People watch the reels. It's amazing. I've got posts out there too. People watch the posts. And you just showing off you're merchandising your artwork, right? To merchandise, yeah, you have to show it off. It's the thing that kills me about other artists and other musicians. They are absolutely afraid to come out with things like podcasts. They're absolutely afraid to put their music into playlists, non-algorithmic playlists, right? They're afraid to they don't understand anything about music licensing or synchronization. I don't understand. I still don't really understand anything about synchronization licensing. I think there's a place for me. Am I going to be a millionaire because of absolutely not? Could I get placements every now and then? Maybe. How do you go about doing that? That's what I got to learn. I dig that hole. You got to dig that hole, right? You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out on your own, Yes, you can do consulting with other people, but you're going to have to figure it out on your own. So anyway, that is it for today. One-way chat, merchandising about music and fine art. That's my attitude. It doesn't do anything sitting on a hard drive, right? It doesn't do anything sitting in the island of Bandcamp. Even if people like Ted Gioia are out there looking at Bandcamp all the time, that's fine. But that's the counterculture is also on the mainstream services too. You just got to know where to find it, or for it to find you, which is what I love about algorithms, right? How would I know about Conway the Machine? Who's Conway the Machine? Go and listen. It's a very interesting style. How do I find those little lost Pat Metheny tracks? I'm interested. I kind of want to hear that stuff, right? All right, that's it for today. Mark Rushton Gallery. Thanks everybody for showing up. My voice is going. Pollen count's going up. Temperature's rising. What's the temperature now? 96. Oh my gosh. Talk to you later.